I'm so content on guarding people. But I mean, sometimes, just like in battle, just like in the cage, when I fought professionally, you have to answer the call and take it without any reservation. And I think it's just something that, you know, I was praying on last year, and I think God's going to let me know ultimately if it's a yay or nay. So I'm really, you know, I'm looking forward to his answer. This guy walks up, he goes, "You look like a big guy. You ever fight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" You know. And he's like, "I'll give you a $500 bar tab if you come down here and fight." I'm 22 years old. There's a 44-year-old man that I had to fight. He was an Army vet. I ended up fighting him in a square ring, boxing ring, in it was a professional MMA fight. It's so funny because you actually just brought up like some of the pivotal moments in my life. And, you know, we mirror each other. I fell into drugs and alcohol real bad after I got out of the Marine Corps.
Semper Fi.
Yeah, right. Tried to kill myself in 2009. Got busted with a bunch of illegal narcotics. God, I always tried to give up on God, but God never gave up on me, is like what I like to say. I would say, you know, I've been you. I have been you for years. You have to surrender. You have to just say, you know what? I've tried. Put your hands up.
Yeah.
Praise. Put on some gospel music. Listen to it and understand it. And listen to the Holy Spirit. He will speak to you. And just throw your hands up and surrender and say, "My plan ain't working, Blair. Let's go."
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God.
Boom. What's up, you guys? Here we are, Man of Peace podcast. I got a fellow warrior hanging with me, the War Rhino, Shane Crutchten. How's it going, bruv?
Good, brother. How you doing, man?
It's good, man. I'm good, dude. I'm good. It's good to finally get to do this. Me and you were some busy dudes, man. Some busy guys. So,
man, you know, it's like trying to schedule with you is like trying to get a hold of the president. It ain't happening.
Yeah, no. I honestly, man, I am notoriously hard to get a hold of, and it's just, I mean, I don't know where. I think it's a season of life on that, you know.
Yeah.
Because there are people listening to this episode right now that are like, "This mother, I've been trying to get a hold of Biden. I'm just out here just making moves in these streets." You know,
hey, we'll be nice. We'll be real with everybody, though. It probably took Byron and I 50, 60 attempts to make this happen between his schedule, my schedule, and the world.
We're kicking it down. We had to kick the can down the road. But like, you know, I run a podcast with EP guys, man. You know. Like, we always are rescheduling. So I have like infinite patience. Like, there's guys I've rescheduled for like 6 months. We're just like, "Hey, bro, this is going to work?" They're like, "Nah, dude." And I'm like, "All right, cool." Then I'm like, "Hey, bro," you know, anyways. So let's jump into it, man. Like, I know you're out there doing some EP stuff real quick. Like, what are you most excited about right now? Like, where you're at in life and what you're doing. Then we'll get into like the cool guy stuff, like the background stuff that people, you know, want to talk about, like, so they understand who they're listening to.
You know, I think part of my life, I'm just so excited where God has brought me to this day. Man, dude, my life was cool prior. I did some really wicked stuff, and we'll talk about that. And then in 2022, I got baptized, and it was like, it was the nitrous to my Honda Civic, if you will.
Let's
going
go
on this. Yeah, man, it just went boom, and it just took off. I mean, you've watched my path, and my path is amazing. And everybody, go ahead and check it out. It's just, God has blessed me in ways, and especially in this season, dude. I got home after the inauguration, and I hadn't been home. I had been home for 3 weeks in the last 4 months, and I was like looking around, and my dog's like, "Yo, are you really my dad?"
Yeah, like, yo,
you sure you love me still?
Yeah, like, where you been, man?
Yeah, but it's such a blessing because I think that God has put me on a path of, you know, favor is for the brave only, you know, and I think that if you're not willing to go down the dark roads as you and I are, especially in EP work, there's no prize at the end of the tunnel. And we know going into this, like, I don't do this for fame, fortune, money. I do this because I love my country. So I want to protect the bravest of the brave that are fighting for this country. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to put myself in between and be that, you know, wall of Jericho, if you will. So I think that God's really put me on such a path with some of the strongest men, with like people like you behind me and Sam from Iron Goat and all these people in my circle that 10 years ago, I didn't know any of y'all's names. And now we're like the network has with God-fearing men has just grown stronger, and it's such a blessing.
Yeah, man. No, 100%, man. I couldn't agree more, man. I think God's doing something special where he's like bringing all these juggernauts together, you know?
Yeah.
Like for years, it's just, usually I'm like kind of the only one around, like where, like I'm on the path and dudes are like, kind of like, I'm like the priest in the platoon almost kind of,
Yeah.
They're like, well, Byron knows Jesus. Like, go talk to him about that. You know what I mean? But now all of a sudden it's like you freaking Sam. I got my boy Steve, Fifth Horseman. I got Maury Omega. Like bro,
We can go to Ark.
I got Courtney.
Ark has some gangsters.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy. And we're all God-fearing men.
Oh, savages though. Right?
I don't think this world realizes, man, like they literally brought all the knights of the yesteryears back together.
Yeah, it's like some kind of the beginning of an Avengers movie. But like I'm wondering what this is happening for, but it's awesome. I'm loving it. I don't know what kind of like Prometheistic bad guy like we're gonna have to fight, but I'm digging it, man. So
boom, I want to invite you guys to the Man of Peace protocols and implementation groups. So if you've been watching the podcast and you're like, yo, this is pretty cool, I'm really liking the vibe, all the things, we have underneath the show, in the show notes, hit the link, and we have implementation groups. We meet monthly. We are a fellowship, the Man of Peace Fellowship. We have live events. We have all kinds of things. Get into the implementation groups. We meet over Zoom. We are going through life together, working on being the best sons of God, men of peace we can be. We're working on making sure that we're operating at the highest levels in spirit, soul, and body at all times. So if you love the vibe of the podcast, I want to encourage you, take the next step, go to the next level, join the implementation groups, join the actual fellowship, meet other men of peace. Let's train together. Let's work together. Let's do life together. Let's execute on the will of the Father together. Blessed are the peacemakers. You guys know the rest. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
As we get into this stuff, man, what would you say? And then aren't you running for Congress? Like, aren't you about to go? Can we talk about that here?
So
let me know.
I have intentions and thoughts of running. I'm thinking about it. I got my toe in the water, if you will. So, I just think that, I think something that's pushing me, outside of EP is really going forward and getting somebody that realizes what a good fight is.
Right.
And realizing that this country needs to be saved. So it's definitely something that's on my mind, something I'm weighing with my family, something I'm weighing with God himself, and, just really strongly weighing it as a good thought.
Yeah. And two things on that. One, I really, as much as like, it's like one of those things, like as much as I don't really want to have to like necessarily answer that call personally, I freaking really respect you, because I feel like that's kind of maybe what needs to happen in our country, man. Like dudes that are not politicians and guys that are solid men and solid men of God, like literally the guy that the last guy that would want to be a politician is exactly the guy that we need to go and freaking take the country back. And I know you're one of those guys like I am, and so,
oh man, I'm so content on guarding people. But I mean, sometimes, just like in battle, just like in the cage, when I fought professionally, you have to answer the call and take it without any reservation. And I think it's just something that, I was praying on last year, and I think God's going to let me know ultimately if it's a yay or nay. So I'm really, I'm looking forward to his answer.
Yeah, no, and I agree 100%, man. So I respect that. And, I got your back 100%. 100%. And I hope I
might need you to guard me.
Yeah, dude, let's go, bro. I love it. That's one of the coolest things, and I know you've benefited from it too, is like being able to protect like patriotic, godly, awesome people lately, man. The contracts that I've been seeing and that we've been bumping into each other on and stuff like that, it's just like, this is really cool. It's better than protecting like the pop star that doesn't even want you there but needs you there, and
then they act all pompous about it, and they're like, it's like security. Whereas these patriotic, like actual God-fearing men bring us around and they want to befriend us, and I'm like, well, sir, I'm still doing a job, sir or ma'am.
Yeah, exactly.
A job.
Yeah, like I'll be over
like,
here.
I don't care. and
Get in here.
it's so cool. It's been such a blessing. And, and as you know, in your Rolodex, you shouldn't be able to type in the names we're typing in these days,
Right.
and being able to text them directly. But it's such an honor and such a blessing. And honestly, it wouldn't happen. That road would never happen if God didn't, put us on that track.
No, I love it, man. And the other thing you said that was massive is you mentioned getting baptized. I know for me, getting baptized was like a really significant event that I didn't expect to be a significant event, right? So like I grew up in church and was like, yeah, the Holy Spirit had guided me most of my life. And like I hit a choice point, like a super hardcore choice point where God was like, hey, bro, like I didn't bring you back to life for you to just be like doing all this stuff you're doing, buddy. And then I got pulled over with like 80 pills of ecstasy in the car and like a couple of different things like that started. God was like, are you gonna mess your life up or are you gonna just do the thing? Like people think they have a choice, and I know we do have a choice on some level, but like it's almost like blood in, blood out. You know what I mean? He's multidimensional. He's not on a timeline. He already knows the decisions I'm gonna make. But I'm just saying, bro, like it was very clear. It was like, choose you be God and your own destruction, or just try it my way and let me show you what we can do, But
just throw your hands up and just deliver
and ride with it. But when I got baptized, a lot of things changed in the natural. Like for me, it was really crazy to see how I matured spiritually. But talk about that if you don't mind a little bit, man. Like that baptism, what it represented, what it did for you.
It's so funny because you actually just brought up like some of the pivotal moments in my life, and we mirror each other. I fell into drugs and alcohol real bad after I got out of the Marine Corps.
Semper Fi.
Right. Tried to kill myself in 2009. Got busted with a bunch of illegal narcotics. God, I always tried to give up on God, but God never gave up on me, is like what I like to say.
Wow.
And no matter how many times I turned around, he just kept doing the old switcheroo and just popping in front of me.
Yeah.
And when I tried to kill myself, I tell this story when I speak for different organizations, but everybody's an epiphany, or they see, they say they see God. I didn't see none of that. It was just black. And I do remember one little voice, and it said, not yet. And I came back to. And I remember waking up and there's a DEA agent standing over me because I had purposely killed myself. And he goes, what in the F are you doing? And he points towards his Second Ranger bat tattoo. And he said, I got your back if you promise me never to touch that crap again. And I was like, why are you yelling at me? I literally just came back to life. And then I'm thinking, and then I'm in the hospital. I'm ashamed because, I've been denied and rejected a lot in my life. I got rejected by God. Okay. Like God said, not yet, player.
Nah, bro.
Nah.
Right.
But it was such a blessing because this DEA agent, I believe, was put in my life for greatness. I ended up getting sentenced, and later, 2 years later, I got blessed with an full expungement of my record. Everything got wiped out. And it was a second lease on life. And it was my choice. Like you said, I could go left, go right. And I kept trying to go left again and again and again. And and it just smacked me in the side every 2 seconds. But in 2022, I made that decision. And I had given up on church in 1999. I had given up on church due to I had been, I had some issues in the Catholic Church, and I was shied away. And so then I fell in 2020, randomly, I fell into a Christian church here in San Diego, Awaken. And it was one of Pastor Jurgen. He's one of the pastors that followed Trump around. And it was amazing to walk in, and I heard the first message, and they're like, we will not fold. We will stand proud. There is no masking. We will not abuse our children. I'm like, where have I been, and why have I not been at this church? Like, these are my homies.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's just been to get baptized, like I said, again, it's just been such a blessing, and it's been like rocket fuel in my spiritual journey. Do I still fall and stumble? Yes. But like Muhammad Ali says, the only time you lose is when you don't stand back up. And I might be bloody and battered, I still got a smile on my face and I still press forward. So
heck yeah. No, that's being a warrior, man. That's what it's all about.
yep.
It's just like, dang, I got to get up. I got to keep going. And God, Jesus
Right.
loves you. And like the whole time, bro, like I know you know what I'm about to say, but like the whole time I was doing all that bad stuff, like the Holy Spirit God was with me, like every day, like we're waking up doing all kinds of debauchery, and he's still like, yo, what's up, bro? What are we gonna do today? Like he's still like with me. Like I'm still like, yo, I hope this like cop doesn't come over here, or I hope like whatever. Like I'm still conversing. Like he didn't leave me, you know. And so I you know, it's not the religion, man. And I think a lot. You mentioned Catholicism and stuff. A lot of real dudes end up hard pass on Christianity because of the religiosity of it. And it's not that, it's actually a relationship. The religiosity is designed to separate you from the Father. So you're judging humans. You're judging God based on what you see freaking humans doing, my guy.
Yes.
And he's just sitting there like, let's talk in the morning, bro, before work. It's a whole different thing.
Drive in your car and talk to me. Like,
yeah, like hit me up in the shower, man, before you go to the enemy. Let's just kick it.
Yeah.
That's massive.
I couldn't agree more with that, because Catholicism, I grew up in Catholicism, you know, altar boy, did all the shamams.
Yeah.
But you idolize a person.
Right.
And they always have icons. Why am I idolizing a person? In Christianity, what I've really learned is I can be connected here. Like you and I are connected, right, Byron? But if I'm not connected here, I can't be connected there. You know, the worldly stuff can be connected 24/7, but if you're not godly connected and then worldly connected, it all falls apart. Now, there's a lot of times I try to disconnect this because I'm like, oh, I'm having a bad day, I'm sad, I'm depressed. Yeah. And something will always like to remind me, like my girlfriend reminds me constantly, and she likes to bring it up to me and go, so you know. And I, you know, it's crazy. And she's like, well, you shouldn't have done that, should you? I'm like, stop, dude. Like, did he just put that in you? Like, just slap me upside the head. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. The way of walking is just like that, man. And I'm the same way now, to the point where like I really want to feel God's presence, you know. So like in the morning, like I will actually worship. Like I'm understanding what David's talking about in Psalms, where he's just like, you know, like I need the presence of God with me. Like if you're not with me, my horses go out to war in vain, you know. And I think which has been really amazing, I'm actually at a level where I'm facing enough things I don't understand how to deal with, to where I know I need God. And that's one of the things to me that is super important for men on the journey, is to know that like if you're not in a place where you're facing something that's bigger than you, more powerful than you, that you could never achieve in a million years, never thought you could achieve in a million years, and it's going to really legitimately take God. If you're not in that place, then you're probably playing God. You're probably playing it safe. You're probably on this horizontal plane right here. If you want to get your vertical up, like get in relationship with him and go after that thing, that's where you're supposed to be. That's what every single man in the Bible did. That's the biblical pattern of masculinity. I don't know. Right. What do you think about that, bro?
I'm 100% with you. And if you're not willing to step out, God didn't intend us to be stationary beings.
Yeah.
Like he intended us to always better ourselves. And there's so many people that just ride that plateau, like you said, of safety, and they're not willing to go above and beyond. And there's another thing is, a lot of people always ask me, oh, when you're doing EP work, aren't you scared? And I'm like, dude, Romans 8:31 player, like, and I'll walk away and they go, what? And it's like, you know, God is for us, nothing can stand against us.
Yeah.
And I don't show fear. Like I'm going international in a few weeks again for another EP job. And it's like, and my client goes, are you okay with that? I'm like, absolutely, dude, I'm protected. We're good. Yeah. I go, if I'm good, you're good. Don't worry.
Yeah. Like literally I'm here. Like my very presence. Like I've been on so many airplanes and the turbulence starts going nuts. And I look over, I'm like, I got way more stuff to do. This plane's not crashing. It would literally be like the easiest way out. Player. Like, trust me, I know what he has for me. And we got, you know, that's awesome, man. I love it, dude.
Bring me another White Claw.
Right. But what would you say about, let's go into your background a little bit. We haven't really touched on that too much. So just kind of like the high points, you know, military, after that, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I served in the United States military, and then when I got out, I got medically released 2005.
You're a
Um,
Marine though, right?
Marine
Marine
Corps,
Corps. Heck
baby.
yeah, let's go, bro.
So I get out of the Marine Corps June of '05, and I was kind of lost. I had just been medically released, kind of lost. I went back to Wisconsin, and it's funny that I have to bring this caveat up. I walk into a bar and I'm drinking, and I at this time I'm hyped up, and this guy walks up to me and goes, "You look like a big guy." And at the time I was 260 pounds. I was fat and out of shape. 260, not in shape. Now I'm in shape 230.
Which
big
is
difference.
way more dangerous.
Yeah,
That's a
way
problem.
more dangerous.
Yeah.
And this guy walks up. He goes, "You look like a big guy. You ever fight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "I'll give you a $500 bar tab if you come down here and fight." I'm 22 years old. There's a 44-year-old man that I had to fight. He was an Army vet. I ended up fighting him in a square ring, boxing ring. It was a professional MMA fight. That was my introduction to MMA.
I love it,
bro.
I love it.
And I ended up being blessed with the ability to fight for 17 years as a professional athlete.
Wow.
Crazy. The whole time I worked, I donated all my money from fights to different 501c3s because I didn't need the money. I just like to fight. I'm weird like that.
Semper Fi.
Yeah. typical corn-fed boy from Wisconsin.
Let's go.
But the whole time I worked federal job. I had I worked for the I was a construction manager, a project manager, a superintendent for all federal work.
Oh.
And so I was making great money, but my bosses all loved me. And I had this one boss for 12 years of my career that absolutely loved the fact that I fought. He would pay me to go train and pay me to go fight. He's like, "As long as you win, otherwise you owe me back pay." I'm like, "Yo, okay."
That's awesome.
I was blessed to go on a 13 fight win streak, so I'll take that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And it was, I towards the end of my career, I was looking for different options. I started doing a little EP work here and there and I always tell people are like, "Well, how do you get to your level? Are you ever hiring?" I'm like, "Yo, I had to chew the bottom of the barrel, player. Like, you have to literal, like take care of a neighbor,
Yeah. Be faithful with the little. You have to be faithful with the little.
Exactly. Be faithful with the little, and you push it down and squish it around. It will overflow sooner or later, just like tithing. And you just believe. And so I did. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, 2018, I started my own construction company. And everybody's like, "It's going to fail in the first 2 years." Well, last year I did $4 million. I'm like, okay. And now it's so self-sufficient. It does its own thing. I'm doing EP work pretty much full time and around politics.
Yeah.
And it's such a blessing to watch this evolution coming in to fruition with politics and everything else. And being around this EP stuff, I found my niche in the guarding faithful men that love America. Yeah. And I found my niche. And my niche is so blessed that I meet people like you. I meet I meet all these really good people that my circle has grown. I mean, the events we get to go to, people are like, "Oh, aren't you having fun?" I'm like, "Yo, just because I post a couple pictures, player, like 98% of the time, I'm mentally exhausted. By the time I hit that plane to go home, I'm dead, inside. But I just sit on it and pray. So it's been such a good blessing. I'm fortunate enough to own a construction corporation, own my own security deal. I co-own another company. I own my own house. I'm blessed with, not owing any debt to anybody. And and I got a beautiful daughter, 11 years old, and a son that's 20, just thriving. And I'm like, yo, like, let's go, dude. Life is great.
That's so cool, bro. That's so cool. Like we've both lived like super fast, you know what I mean? Like you're in the fight world, like I'm traveling 50, 60 countries a year, like being the same type of savages we were raised to be in the Marine Corps, and how would you say God's played a part in all that? Like coming from like where you left to go into the Marine Corps to be like ODing in a hotel room. Like to like now, like the trajectory you're on, bro. Like the 1% of the private security industry, we're bumping into each other at things like Like, I know where I came from, bro. I don't know, man. People wonder, like, how could you just like talk about God on your platform? I'm like, hey, you have no idea, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I will ride so hard, dude. Anyways, but like, what would you say on your path, man? Like, how's Jesus impacted that stuff?
Man, I don't know if you read the story of the Shane Crutchten Surviving Self.
Yeah, you guys should look that up. I'll put it in the link. I'll put the link under.
Yeah, it's a powerful story. I grew up in a tiny town in outside of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Yeah. We used to have to drive an hour into town to go to school on the bus. You know, my grade school was in a building that was built in the 1800s. You know, and I remember, you know, watching O.J. Simpson get found not guilty when they pulled the whole class into the gymnasium. Like, what? And I look back. I was voted most likely never to leave my hometown.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, at high school. I was like, hold my beer. You know, I've done so many cool. I mean, I fought at Madison Square Garden. I've fought in numerous countries. I've traveled over 40, 50 countries now. And I look back and I'm like, dude, if you don't see God's hand in how much, I mean, alone with the saving me from prison, alone with not making me a felon, alone from the ability to be around the level of people I'm at. Yeah. I mean, I'm around people that people don't like because demons are scared of people that are showing fear, putting fear against the demons. Right. And these people are really installing that, as you know. Yep. To be around these people and travel with them, travel the world with them. I've been to numerous countries with them. Yep. It's such a blessing that God has been like, hey, look, you're my child. They're my child. You go and keep them safe in the earthly form. But don't worry, we got you in the spiritual form. So if you can't see God in that, I mean, I remember as a kid, I was like, someday, I told people, someday I want to meet a president. Now I'm around, you know, I'm at Mar-a-Lago all the time.
Swimming in the water, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm like
it's a slow Tuesday, dude. Almost.
Like, I mean, last year I was at Mar-a-Lago 5 times in 1 month for visits. I'm like, this is not. And my mom, I love my mom to death, and my mom is the cutest old lady ever. And she shows all her girlfriends. She's like, look, he's around this person, and they're like, who is your son?
Yeah,
you know, right. Lives in the little home. You know, she lives in an assisted living home in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Oh wow! And so she's representing back there, you know, and they're like, "Oh my hardcore."
Yeah, I go back, you know, and I go back to Wisconsin now, and my dad's so proud. And he's like, do you know who my son is? I'm like, stop, please.
Yeah, you know, we can't just tell everybody all this stuff.
Yeah, like this isn't just a whap.
Yeah.
He likes to talk about my clients. And I'm like, yo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, stop. You know, but it's. I love you. Like, I love that. You know, my dad told me 3 times in my life that he's loved me. 3 times.
Wow.
The 4th time was just a few months ago, man, and you know, I think God really put it on him, like, yo, your son loves you, and he needs the embracing love. And my dad grabbed me, and we were heading out of Wisconsin right after Christmas, and he goes, Shane, I go, what's up, Dad? And he goes, I love you, and I'm proud of you, bro. My dad has never told me that.
Wow.
And to hear that come from this man's mouth, like, I got tears.
Yeah.
It hit in such a. So I tell my daughter every day I see her, I have her 50-50 custody.
Yeah.
How much she means to me, how much I love her, how important she is, and how to have self-value. So I ended up hearing that from my dad. I remember I went to men's prayer the very next week. We have men's prayer every Tuesday at 5:30 a.m. And I was sitting there and they had God's story time. And I raised my hand and I go, I think God put it on my dad's heart. Like, just tell him. And I started crying trying to say it because I heard it when I got hurt in Iraq. I heard it then. I heard it once when I was leaving for Iraq, and the 4th time was when I first got arrested. They were trying to put me in prison, and the DA found it on his heart to say, "No, we're just going to give him a chance to prove himself, and then we'll expunge everything." But my dad was scared when I was going into sentencing because I rolled the dice and I said, "You know, God's got my back." And I did, and the DA heard God's voice and was like, "Here you go." So it's insane to have the life I have with the blessings I have. So it's to have that love is crazy too.
Yeah. No, it's so crazy, man. And I think something else that I think is worth mentioning with regards to your testimony and mine, because it's similar, is like when I was coming out of combat and living super fast, I didn't see how like being a good dude and like following Christ was going to turn out to be like survivable. Like I thought it was gonna be so bored. I was gonna kill myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I don't want to be like these church guys. Like, look at these nice guys, bro. Like I remember being like
nerds.
Yeah, I was remember being like, dude, this isn't gonna work. You know, and now and a lot of the guys I interview, and you let me know in a second, but like, and now I see these men like we're on the greatest adventure that we couldn't even have made up. You know what I mean? Like, and we have stability and we have honor. Like people honor us when they see us by the grace of God. And we have these families and we have like more, like I live in a place I never thought I would ever be able to ever, you know, and like the blessing of being a faithful, strong man is something I really want to punctuate, you know?
Yeah.
And when I was in that other state, I was just trying to figure out how to make myself happy with like the drugs or like the chick or like I was playing God and it was like the cheapest, most pathetic thing. You know? I don't know. Do you like how does that hit you?
Well, I mean, I look at it the same way, brother. And you know, I just never I used to go to church when I first started going in 2020. I'm like, oh, great. It's another church. There's going to be a bunch of nerds. You know, they're going to have their shirts tucked in, a bunch of geeks. And I walked, dude. And I walked in, bro. And I'm like, wait, he's wearing a hat in church and it's backwards?
Yeah, you know, like sinner.
Yeah. I'm like, shame. And then you got another guy in booty shorts walking in silkies.
Yeah.
Muscle, and I'm like, what is this place? But it also shows you that no matter who you are, it's just like the old lady at the well that only that had her last life savings and still gave it to the well, and yet you had these millionaires coming in with all this gold in the Bible, and Jesus went up to her, nobody else, and blessed it. So it's the same thing. It shows that no matter what lifestyle you have come from, they shall accept. And it's crazy because you do have the very, you know, prim and proper. They still dress up every Sunday and come into church. But I always like to say, there's sinners, felons, there's tattooed people, there's everybody in the church. Right. Everybody will shake a hand and everybody will show respect. And everybody is there for one reason and one reason only, not to judge, but to love. Yeah. And it's amazing. And I think if I look back at my life, Byron, to be blessed with a professional career, to be blessed with the military, to be blessed with the career I have now, to be blessed with the business I have, to be blessed with this house. You know, I would have never told you I'd have a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house on a huge property, 10 minutes outside of downtown San Diego. And my friends look at me and they're like, so how much you renting it for? And I was like, nah, player, I own that. And they're like, wait, what?
They're like, how? Yeah, dude. And it's the best when people look at you. And they're like, this must be.
Oh, dude. And it's like, and I'm a nerd too. Yeah, it must be drug dealing. My neighbors probably think I am. You know, I got a nice brand new F-250 and a brand new Tesla Performance. And my neighbors definitely think I got some side hustles. But it's such a blessing, dude. I just, when you believe and you earnestly believe and stop doing life on your terms. Don't get me wrong. I still try to do life on my terms at times.
Yeah. I still need to get punched in the face by the
Holy Spirit reminds me.
Yep.
But, you know, and to go back, think about this is in 2021, I snapped my neck. That's what ended my career. I snapped C3 through 7 in my throat and in a car accident. And I stood up, and you're not supposed to do that. But I had so much muscle in my neck from wrestling and fighting. God saved me. And again, did another miracle and was able to help me recover to where I'm at. Am I back to where I was pre that? No, but I was able to pivot life and and that's what got me big time into EP work is being able to pivot, listen to God's, go like this and totally listen and surrender and say, here we go. Show me where you need me because I can't fight anymore on TV, but show me where you need me. And he did.
That's awesome. That's massive. And same thing. I mean, for those who know my testimony, I just want you guys to see that there's a pattern and there's consistency here. It was literally the same thing for me. Got out of the Marine Corps, was scared. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I hit my knees. He's like, yo, go to Hennessy's Tavern in Dana Point. You're gonna become a bouncer. You're gonna become a bouncer. You'll become a bodyguard, and you're gonna travel the world. I'm like, okay. And I walk into my living room, and I'm like, babe, I know what's gonna happen. And she's like looking at me like, what are you so happy about? Like, we're screwed. Like, you're about to get out of the Marine Corps. You don't know what the heck you're gonna do. Like,
I got this.
I'm like, this. No, it's all good. It's all good. And I'm like, I'm gonna go bounce at Hennessy's Tavern. I'm gonna become a bodyguard. I'm gonna travel the world. She's like, this is like getting recruited from flag football into the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, she's like looking at me like ninja. Like that was it. That's what you're excited about. And I
That's
remember.
the plan.
She's like a new, she's a young Christian. I remember looking at her and being like, all I ask, and I said, this is one of my favorite things I ever said. Like, I'm so proud of myself. It's the most Jesus-y thing I've ever said. I remember looking at her and being like, hey, all I ask is that when it happens exactly the way I've said it's going to happen, is that you believe. Bro, 3 months into it, random, not so random guy calls me over to his table, says, I'm going to show you how to make a lot more money doing what you're doing. Go get these permits. Give me a call back. And in 2 weeks, and then I blink, and then I'm on my first job interview, Rodeo Drive, in the back of a Bentley for one of the top evangelical ministries in the world. And then it was on, bro. Like just next level. So, dude, it's 100% consistent. It's congruent. This is the way we were designed to live at life.
Correct.
And like, this podcast is about helping men walk in sonship and in relationship to the Heavenly Father, and showing you guys examples of that. What would you say to the guy who is maybe listening that's like, well, geez, man, like, I want this. I want to, like, how are you guys doing this? How does a relationship with Jesus look like? How do I have that? What would you say to that guy?
I would say, I've been you. I have been you for years. You have to surrender. You have to just say, you know what? I've tried. Put your hands up.
Yeah.
Praise, put on some gospel music, listen to it and understand it. And listen to the Holy Spirit. He will speak to you, and just throw your hands up and surrender and say, my plan ain't working, Blair. Like, let's go. And when you do that, things will turn, things will take place that are going to blow your mind. And you're going to go, wait, it was this easy. Trust me, bro. I wish I would have done this 15 years ago. Yep. Like, my life would be in a completely different avenue. And I just did this a few years ago, and it's already, I mean, the transgressions that have happened are so pronounced and just blowing me away. Gosh, I wish I would have done this 10, 15 years ago. But yeah, just listen and surrender and just understand it will come. And it may not come today, may not come tomorrow, but it will come.
Yeah. I think it's the heart posture is super important. It's like, when you, like you're saying, surrender, massive, like for me, it was literally me being like, he's always talked to me, and him just being like, yo, if you keep doing it your way, you're going to ruin your life, bro. And I'm like, and I could just see the truth of it. I was like, yeah, that's exactly where we're headed right now. And then I decided, I was like, I'm not a good God. Like, I don't know how to win. Like, I don't know how to make money. And like, all I know how to do is what the Marine Corps taught me to do. Like, I don't know how to like become significant and make enough money to buy a house and all these things, and I finally was like, all right, Father, you're gonna have to show up. Like, you're gonna have to be God, because this looks boring and miserable at the same time. Like, I can do poor, but I'm gonna have fun. Like, I can do, what I mean? Like, and then I did that. It's exactly what you said. I surrendered, and I was like, all right, Father, like, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm gonna seek you, and I'm gonna ask you for advice and direction. And it made all of the difference. And it's been an absolutely, and it's not like all of a sudden things are great. It's like, you just are doing life different now. And God will give you things and bless you, and it's amazing. You will go through some of the hardest and most petrifying, scary things you'll ever go through. But with him, it's different. With him, it's like, even though you're scared at times, it's okay. Like, it's a whole different way of doing life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Were there, as we begin to wrap this up, what would you say, were there any like standout moments in your life with God that you'd want to talk about, like as far as testimony, where you're like, no, he showed up for me here?
Honestly, I had touched on it, but I think when I tried to kill myself,
Yeah.
and whether it be God or whether it be the Holy Spirit through God saying not yet, was one of the most profound moments in my testimonial, letting me know, your journey ain't done here, buddy, and just allowing me to push through and persevere, I think is one of the most profound. Second most profound, I would definitely have to put it at just being able to live the life I have and have the blessings in order to push through the adversity that I've struggled with. All of us have had adversity. It's not a matter of, nobody's trying to one up each other here, but just listening and going, hey, you know what? Yeah, that sucked. And believing and knowing God does not tempt you. Right. That's the demons that are tempting you. God does not tempt you. God gives you the opportunity to fail if you're going to fail, but he will not tempt you. Everybody goes, God's tempting me. No, he's not. He does not do that. And knowing that, I think that's biggest part of my journey.
Right. Yeah, no, that's huge. No, God's not tempting you. In fact, I
Never.
think when you start to step back, you'll realize everything's love, man. Like even the times you fall for the temptation until you learn the truth about the temptation, and then you become like casting or resetting an arm, you just become smarter and stronger. You're like, I just know where that goes. Like I just know what we're doing, and I know where this goes. I'm over this, like I've had enough hamburgers. Yeah, not the hamburger. You know what I mean? Like I've done this thing enough to where it's like, no, we're just going to not be like, we're going to be better. It's all love, man. It's all character development. And I'm pretty convinced that a lot of this is really, that's what saving your soul is. Your soul is your mind, your will, your emotions, your intellect. And so when you start to really understand that, getting that in alignment with the Spirit of God inside of you is really what this is all about. You start to understand that like everything I'm going through is transforming me into his image. I'm being renewed into his image, like good, bad, or indifferent, as long as I keep my eyes on him and lean into him, So now that's awesome stuff. One last question. How would you say your relationship with the Father has impacted you as a man? In terms of the way that you walk the planet and interact with people?
It makes me know that essentially I'm invisible with him having my back, the Romans 8:31 say, but it's made me a better father, bigger than, listening to my father, being able to be a father and raise my daughter. My daughter goes to private school and she goes to church twice a week at school. It's so amazing to know that, hey, you know what? I can bring her up. I may have had all these adversities, all these troubles, all these problems, but if you can always, the goal of a father that I've learned from, listening to God and really learning, and which I've done, the goal of a father is always making sure that your next of kin, the next generation, has it better than you did. And that's my only goal, is leaving this world knowing that both of my kids are better off than I ever was. And my burdens are never their burdens. My burdens aren't anyone else's burdens. It's just knowing that God will always have your back. I think it just really has carried me through my spiritual journey.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. And I agree with you. What I always have noticed is the way he treats me tends to be like, I'll catch myself doing it sometimes, tends to be the way that it like informs me on how to treat like my wife or my kids or whatever it is. It's like, because he's like so firm, but he's so like loving, and like even when he convicts me of things, I'm like, it brings me closer to him. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, dang, I really got to do better. Like I need to cut this out. You know what I mean? Like it's awesome, and so I try to be that. There was a saying that always really stuck with me. My old one of my people in the Marine Corps used to say, my drill instructor, and he goes, "You always have an iron fist, but have a helping hand." And I never understood what that meant until maybe a couple of years ago. Like people like us, we have iron fists, but man, my hand is willing to open up and grab you and pull you along with me. 100%, man. That's, I think, the definition of being meek. It's like those who have a sword are capable of using the sword but don't have to. And that's I think that's true biblical masculinity. Like when Jesus is getting crucified, when he's about to get crucified, he's talking to Pontius Pilate, and he's like, "Don't you think I could call down like something like 12 legions of angels. Like, would it have really been?
Cancel this all right now.
Yeah, exactly. I can cancel the planet, dog. You know what I mean? Like, would it really have been such a sacrifice? You know, if it was Jesus on the cross, like they got me. There's nothing I could do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, the whole point is strength and sacrifice.
And one of the most profound things was "do as you will."
Yeah,
and he said, like, bro, this dude's about to stab you with a sword, and you go, "Do as you will."
Yeah, man.
Like Jesus is a gangster. Like, I don't care who you are. Like,
yeah.
You know.
When you actually study him out and like read what's in red, 100%, you'll see he's super masculine. People around him respected him. One of my favorite verses is, "And then no one asked Jesus questions in that city ever again," you know, because he's just blasting on these fools, you know, super countercultural.
Mic dropping.
Yeah, bro, doesn't care, you know, like countercultural, but spiritual masculine certainty, which I think is something that the world's missing quite a bit. Something that I think this new administration's bringing in, and I think we're seeing a lot more order as a result of that.
They're bringing it back hard, buddy.
No, it's coming in hot.
Oh, we're back, baby.
Yeah, bro. Anyways, Shane, man, War Rhino, it's such an honor, man. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for doing this podcast. Any closing thoughts based on our conversation that you want to leave listeners with?
Yeah, I just want to say, remember, the only easy day was yesterday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is today's doing. So make sure you press forward as hard as you can today. Let's go, baby.
Let's go, bro. Boom, man. Hey, and blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Boom.
Boom. What's up, guys? So check it out. Podcast, all the free content, all the things are supported by Patreon. So if you're listening to any of these episodes and it's a blessing to you, it's helping you in life, we now have our Patreon platform up. It's also a really cool place where I consolidate all my content. And so you actually get to see everything because the algorithms, for whatever reason, don't always show you everything. But anyways, if you want to support the podcast, this stuff's not free. Getting these videos edited, published, paying people to do all this stuff, syndication strategy, putting it all out, it ain't free. But it's an honor to do so. And I believe it's my work and it's what God wants me to do. So if you guys want to join forces and help support that work, I want to invite you to check in the show notes, join us on Patreon. The whole give a cup of coffee. For what you pay for a cup of coffee, you can really help me out quite a bit actually getting this thing going, keeping this thing going. All right, God bless, Semper Fi. Thank you for being here. We love you guys. Boom. When it comes to the technology you use to protect your home, there's nothing better than Deep Sentinel. AI-driven, human-monitored technology that will keep you and your family safe for the same price you're paying for whatever Ring doorbell system you have. Check out Deep Sentinel. It's such an honor to join forces with these guys. They should be in every single house in the world. Get real-time Overwatch for you and your loved ones. And for 10% off, depending on when you're watching this, don't forget to use code Byron at checkout.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God.